Hello and welcome to Superpower Broadcasting. I'm Kevin Castley. Thanks for being here tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking on Kremlin Kyle. So we were talking about Kremlin Kyle Kulinski on last night's stream. Last night's stream went far longer than I had originally planned. We were joined not only by Jay of the War Kettle, but we were also joined by Reese of the channel formerly known as Nightmare Fuel, now known as Spooky Nukies. But in addition to those guys, those awesome hawks, we were joined by Kraut, which was awesome. Kraut, of course, runs a channel that has about 250,000 subscribers and has recently done an excellent series on Turkish history, spanning 3 parts, which you can all go and check out, and be sure to subscribe to Kraut if you haven't done so yet. Kraut and I have been talking for many months. He's a really cool guy, very knowledgeable. And what I thought was interesting was that, Kraut had mentioned when I had played his recent meme video of what watching the first presidential debate was like, and he, of course, was parodying and spoofing various YouTubers and internet personalities of the Brainlet Brigades who had been covering the debate and offering their bunk and junk, quote-unquote, analysis. And he, of course, made fun of Kremlin Kyle in that video 3 times. And he pointed out how he's a Russian bootlicker and a Syrian bootlicker for Bashar the Butcher. And, I told him, I'm like, I thought it was awesome that you included near the end of that video Kremlin Kyle listening to the song God, Syria, and Bashar, that wannabe rap type song or whatever, that techno, that cringy techno song. And what I thought was interesting was how Kraut's reaction to it when I mentioned how, I used to go to school with people that were like, oh man, it's a total bop, dude. And he's like, wait, Kremlin Kyle fans actually listen to Syrian propaganda unironically? And I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, I did it as a joke. And I was like, oh no, seriously. Like they love it. They think it's bopping. and now, I mean, yeah, that sounds like a meme. That sounds like, oh, there's no way that's true. And by the way, I just want to say we're already up to almost 10 people, and it's like it's super late, but I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. I do want to give a new shout out, an awesome shout out to our newest patrons. We got FKJMS73, and we got Suzuki. We got Hawk Suzuki. He became a patron last night. So thank you. You guys are awesome. You guys are helping to offset the cost of the new equipment and everything going up here. So that's awesome. But I mean, we have a very special brainlet to dunk on tonight. This guy right here. Now, my friend Arthur, you all know Arthur, Hawk Arthur. He's the one who does a ton of the graphics for myself and, of course, Spooky Nukies, our channels. He did this rendition of the Kremlin Kyle show, and I think it's very fitting because you see, of course, his stupid green goblin type studio with his little infographic on his monitor in the background. You see it flatlining because, of course, it's unoriginal. It should be a dead channel. He just says the same thing over and over and over again, right? It's a lost cause. It's terrorist apologetics. He calls his channel Secular Talk. But of course, what do I say about that? Well, Secular Talk, the channel in which we defend the terrorists and the Ayatollah. How secular. So, of course, that's him right there in his $25,000 studio, which, by the way, I was asking Reese this. I'm like, how does that cost $25,000? But whatever. Anyway, we got some tweets to take a look at tonight. So this is going to be interesting. So, so I actually watched the Kremlin Kyle video today, or I should say I watched about the first half of it because he's insufferable. But I got the gist of it. It's Kremlin Kyle. Once you've seen several of his videos, you've seen all 30,000 or whatever he has. So he was talking about the war in Afghanistan against the Taliban, and he was triggered, and he quote tweeted an article. We'll take a look at it here. This is by CBS News. CBS News writes, "The Taliban on Trump, quote, we hope he will win the election, end quote. It would draw U.S. troops from Afghanistan." Oh, and I tweeted out earlier, I said over on Twitter, and by the way, you can follow me on Twitter at Kevin Castley if you haven't done so yet, because I have, my daily takes and everything over there. I do this stream, but if you want to see my takes more often and more on the fly, you can check out my Twitter profile. But I said about this, I'm like, Trump earned the endorsement of the Taliban. Weird flux, but okay. And here, of course, is Kremlin Kyle saying, "This story is a perfect litmus test to see who's a complete tribal, damn partisan hack idiot." In other words, those who are against the Taliban, which, by the way, should be noted, if I was in the United States, I'd be a registered Republican. I'd be, voting-wise, probably independent, but I think that the Republican Party is easier to ultimately influence and whatnot in terms of getting back to its natural resting point. The natural resting point of the Republicans for the last 50 years has been very hawkish. So the natural resting point of the Democrats has been very pigeon-like. So, but of course, I support Joe Biden right now, and I would be voting for Joe Biden, just like Colin Powell, just like a ton of Republican figures that have had it with Trump and his terrorist and dictator apologetics. But here you have a case where he says, "Oh, complete tribal, damn partisan hack idiot." So I guess he just assumes that all Republicans support the Taliban. That's stupid. There are a ton of Republicans. There are Republicans that are going to be voting for Trump for other reasons, like his position on the Supreme Court, abortion, taxes, etc., that aren't fans of the Taliban. They just, they're not single issue foreign policy voters the same way that people here might be. But he says, "And who is serious about policy substance and actually improving the world." In other words, serious about policy substance means praise the Taliban, and actually improving the world means condemn the 30 some odd million people of Afghanistan to slavery under the jackboots of the theocratic and authoritarian and terrorist Taliban. Now, we should remember something. Despite what Tanky Tulsi would have you believe, the Taliban did not do nothing wrong. They were accomplices to 9/11. Even if you don't care about the atrocities and the terror that they ravaged upon Afghanistan, you have to understand that the Taliban was the entity that gave Al-Qaeda a safe base in their country from which they were able to conduct the 9/11 attacks. They were as guilty in 9/11 as the driver in a drive-by shooting would be if the guy riding shotgun was the one pulling the trigger. Would it mean that the guy driving the car was innocent? No, it would make him an accomplice to murder even though he didn't pull the trigger. That would be obvious, right? Likewise, so too is the Taliban responsible for 9/11. In Kremlin Kyle's view, in Tanky Tulsi's view, they're innocent, they didn't do anything wrong, and they're the legitimate government of Afghanistan. And the current government that controls the vast majority of the country and actually has popular support and is pro-Western, oh, that's just an imperialism. That's a no-good USA neocon ghoul imperialism, bro. These people are on the side of the terrorists. They are with the enemy. Kremlin Kyle is the fifth column. Kremlin Kyle is a bootlicker for those who helped perpetrate the attacks of 9/11 against the United States of America. And here he is there on Twitter, with his smug little profile picture and everything. I guess that's him at Politicon, which he got owned. Like Charlie Kirk owned him. I'm not even a fan of Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk owned him. It was embarrassing, but wow. So we'll take a look at the chat. Take a look at the chat. Oh, Natalie was here tonight. Okay, so Natalie says, Can't wait to see this shill. So she wrote about 14 minutes before we went live. Can't wait to see this shill for the enemies of freedom get owned. Well, that's why I'm here. And that's part of the reason why the patrons support the channel, why the PayPal gang supports the channel, is because I'm going to consistently dunk on the enemies of freedom. So today I'm early. Yeah, thanks for being here, Natalie. Philip Holmgren is here. Awesome. He says the Kremlin cow. Yeah, it's Kremlin cow. And if you pronounce his name the same way as Eric Cartman from South Park, he's Kremlin cow, but he doesn't know what a farm looks like. We got the War Kettle. He says, Calamara, good morning. Yeah, good morning, Jay. How's it going? Arthur says, Taliban are the OG peaceful protesters. Oh, yeah, mostly peaceful terrorists. Just mostly peaceful terrorists, bro. City of Hawks says, at Superpower Broadcasting, I missed last night's stream, unfortunately. Well, no worries. You can go and watch it over on my channel. It turned out to be about 5 hours long. If you want to see Kraut's there for, probably, I think it was about the first hour and a half or so we were talking with Kraut. Got Sock on Brain here, says, yo, what's up, man? Yo, what's up? I saw you made that awesome meme earlier. He made the neocon action meme, which is, it's a parody of Antifa, except it's the flag of NATO and the United States. So that's based in Hawkpilled. Steve Hawk says, off topic, seeing the moron saying Bill Burr's monologue on SNL was offensive. I didn't see the monologue. I can't comment on that. But Sock on Brain says, dude, you think God, Syria, and Bashar is cringeworthy? Look up the Turkmenistan rap. Yeah, I saw the Turkmenistan rap. It was fringe and cringe, to say the least. He says, play it on stream. Maybe we'll probably play that in a couple of days, because I have a stream lined up tomorrow discussing the military parade in Pyongyang to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the founding of the Korean Workers' Party, in which the regime has unveiled and put on display a World Mobile ICBM, which is far larger than their previous ones. And I think it's worth talking about, because we here often talk about North Korea. We talk about how North Korea is attempting to get hydrogen bombs, but that they also need a proven delivery mechanism for them to be a valid threat against the United States. Well, they're getting a lot closer to having a sophisticated delivery system to place those hydrogen bombs on targets like Washington and New York and Seattle and Chicago. So in order to blackmail the United States to let them invade South Korea on their own without having to deal with American involvement. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. I wanted to talk about it today, but I was too busy, didn't really get too much time to prepare. I think it's an important subject, so I'd rather have more preparation done for that. So we'll talk about that parade tomorrow. Philip Holmgren says, Kremlin cow in his cheap Walmart suit. Yeah, well, I mean, I got a cheap suit. I got a cheap suit too. So if you guys want to change that, you can, go to the Patreon, you can go to PayPal and help me get, probably another cheap suit, hopefully not quite as cheap, so that we can mix it up and everything. Down the road, once this channel takes off and everything and we have more support, I can get better suits and stuff. But we, of course, have to get, just the basics down, like actually having a computer that can run this stuff, which we do now. Probably need to get a better webcam at some point, because the one here doesn't run, it doesn't produce the best quality footage, especially now that we got the background lighting and everything. But for $100, it's been a decent webcam for the last couple of years. Likewise with the mic. Bought the mic several years ago before I uploaded any videos or anything. For $150 mic, it's, it could be better, but, it's served the channel well thus far. We got a couple likes on Facebook already. That's awesome. Got about, let's see, we got a couple people on Twitch, 10 people on YouTube. Good to see. City of Hawk says, Kulinski is of Polish descent, is a Kremlin apologist. Talk about disgrace. Oh, absolutely. The other irony is that he claims to be a secular atheist who used to do content that was around secularity and atheism and issues related to religious freedom, that kind of stuff. I mean, I used to watch him when I was younger. I used to watch him unironically when I was in high school, for example, and like the first part of university. He used to talk about other stuff. He didn't always just shill for the Taliban or for fascist Russia, but he shills now very hard for the theocratic largest state sponsor of terror in the world, the dictatorship in Tehran. That's embarrassing. He calls his channel Secular Talk. That's like me calling my channel Neocon Talk and then constantly praising fascist Russia. You're like, wait, what? Why not rename your channel to Theocracy Talk or Terrorist Talk or Fifth Column Talk? Actually, Reese and I were talking about this last night. Maybe he'll do that. There are so many channels and shows out there now, like Rolling Stone's Useful Idiots or Pseudo Intellectual with Lauren Chen, or what's another one? The Fifth Column. A lot of these channels just straight up call themselves what we accuse them of being, as if to, I guess, preempt or get ahead of us owning them, except it amounts to a simple admission of guilt. It's not an own. It's like when Brainlet June, Shoe on Head, calls her channel or calls her show Brainlet. That doesn't mean, oh, she can't be a brainlet because she calls herself a brainlet. No, that just means, oh, you call yourself what we call you. You own yourself. That's what that is. And in contrast, look at this channel. We're Superpower Broadcasting. We are the exact same when it comes to that. We're pro-US. We're American exceptionalists. We believe in NATO. We believe in, the free world. So, and then the channel is called Superpower Broadcasting. So it kind of makes sense. Their fifth columns, they call themselves Fifth Columns or Useful Idiots. And they are useful idiots. They have Tinky Tulsi Gabbard on. So I guess the world is more simple than it appears. If you want to know who's the fifth column, see who calls themselves the fifth column. You want to know who supports the United States for global hegemon, see who calls themselves Superpower Broadcasting. So we got Ronald Smith here. He says, vote for Ronald Smith. I'm going to be president. Vote Ronald Smith. I know nothing about your policy. He just says, I'm for peace and love. So what kind of peace are we talking about? Are we talking like Kremlin-style cringe tier where we lick the boots of the Taliban and the Russians? Or do you mean peace as in we destroy the enemies of freedom and we have world peace? Rodney David Thalberg is on Facebook. He says, Kyle Kulinski, should go to the Taliban and see how living under them is like. Yeah, there's a whole big meme about him, how he's basically like the lesbian softball coach. Probably the Taliban wouldn't really like him too much. Is the Taliban really going to be tolerating of this guy? Is he going to fit in with the Taliban? Is a progressive left populist atheist going to fare well under Taliban control? Probably not. But that's their sphere of influence, bro. So if they rough him up or they kill him, I guess he would say, well, that's their sphere of influence, bro. Bill Burr, Nicholas writes, Bill Burr has some real Clinton derangement syndrome. Tori B says, how do you feel about Tulsi Gabbard? Oh, that's a good question. So I haven't seen your account before. If this is your first time or you're new to Superpower Broadcasting, if you'd like to know how I feel about Tanky Tulsi, you can go and actually watch some of the first videos I ever put out on this channel were pre-recorded videos that I had uploaded to YouTube, absolutely eviscerating the Tanky Tulsi Gabbard and her bootlicking of the absolute butcher Bashar in Syria, who's killed about 500 to 600,000 people and forced about 8 million people to flee the country and become refugees. So I personally despise Tanky Tulsi Gabbard. I said to Reese many months ago, right around the beginning of the primary cycle for the Democratic Party, I said to him, I'm like, you want to know what's some real nightmare fuel? The odd chance that Tanky Tulsi ever actually got anywhere near the nomination for the Democratic Party. Because now imagine you have an anti-war pigeon like Trump running against basically a pro-Taliban and pro Bashar bootlicker like Tanky Tulsi. So Wyatt says, the good thing about Turkmenistan is, unlike other silly dictatorships, at least Turkmenistan knows it's Turkmenistan and acts accordingly. Yeah, you don't really see them like parading around ICBMs and talking about how they can like turn Washington and New York into radioactive craters and stuff the way that the North Koreans do. And the North Koreans are, save for some work needed on their targeting systems, they're not exactly wrong about that. Because if they launch them, the only thing stopping that from happening would be America's ground-based interception, which has about a 40% success rate per shot, and the inaccurate targeting on their ICBMs. So they have the Russians helping them. They're going to work out those targeting errors. And they've gotten far more precise in the last decade. And they're inching closer to thermonuclear weaponry. This is part of the reason why I advocate that a small, limited nuclear war with them right now is preferable to waiting for a large nuclear exchange in the future on their terms. So, yeah, Nicholas says none of us like Tulsi. Yeah, we got liberals here. We got conservatives here. We got hawks of all stripes. We all freaking hate the Tanky Tulsi Gabbard. So, and it is an awesome point to know that very soon, Tanky Tulsi Gabbard will no longer be a government official in the United States. She will be a private citizen and probably go and work for fascist Russia today. So I see let's see, what else was it? Oh, yeah. Sock on Brain says, what's your current webcam? I've got a Logitech C920. It's a couple years old. I got it on sale. So it says, Gremlin Kyle clearly is not getting the good quality Qatari money. Maybe he is. He just doesn't know how to spend it properly. Because we know he gets from his patrons about around, closer to $20,000 a month to post cringe. So, Sock on Brain says, daily reminder that Kremlin Kyle gets his payroll from a regime that funds terrorism. Yep. In case you weren't aware, the Young Turks being owned by Al Jazeera. Yes, and that's a common theme with the enemies of freedom. So you have fascist Russia. They fund Russia Today America and Russia Today. Both of those channels, basically nobody in Russia actually watches. They watch state TV. They watch Russia One. They watch that kind of stuff. Russia Today exists simply to brainwash people outside of Russia to become sympathetic to Russia. Russia Today America exists specifically to brainwash Americans to become sympathetic to Russia. And it happens to be in many ways a very progressive network, kind of like the Young Turks. But both the Young Turks, Al Jazeera, and Russia Today, or I shouldn't say both, those are three, all of those are progressive outlets that are funded by basically far-right petrol states that are very anti-liberal. And when I say liberal, I mean liberal in terms of, how I use the term liberal, how I identify as liberal. That's somebody that believes in individualism, free markets, that kind of stuff, like the West, the Enlightenment, democracy, that kind of thing, property rights. Those regimes are very illiberal, yet they'll hype up progressive media in the West to try to brainwash people to make them sympathetic to those far-right regimes. It's really interesting, isn't it? So, like Russia Today, America, they'll do articles talking about like how the Republicans and stuff are like, they're big corporate bootlickers and how they want to do fracking. They want to drill oil and like global warming, bro. Meanwhile, Russia is the largest producer of oil in the world. Putin drills oil till the cows come home. And I think the cows are coming home pretty soon because Kremlin Kyle, it's only a matter of time before he goes and gets his Russian citizenship, right? Just like Edward Snowden, just like the traitor Snowden or Oliver Stone, the little brat, those guys, Steven Seagal, those guys. So Natalie says, Kremlin cow is like a discount Cenk Uygur. Yeah, Mr. 6%. So basically the point is these regimes that hate us, they hype up the progressive agenda because they know that progressivism will undermine our sovereignty, our wherewithal, our resolve to counter these regimes. So even though the regimes themselves are anti-progressive, they understand that by hyping up progressivism within the West, they, as a consequence of that, will be able to achieve a more anti-war, anti-interventionist, a more pigeon-like foreign policy within the United States, Canada, and Europe, such that they can go about their day terrorizing their people and running these propaganda outlets. So they don't have a progressive bone in their body, but they understand that progressivism is basically a cancer in our society and will undermine our military resolve. So they use it against us, essentially. So Sock on Brain says he gets money from literal rogue state regimes. WTF. No, absolutely. Absolutely. WebM God says, yo, where are my Hawks at? Yo, we're right here, bro. We're right here. We're right here. We're all here tonight, dude. We're right here tonight. We got the Hawk gang here. Everybody's here. It's late, but we're all here still. So we got the gang, right? So we got the Hawk gang. We got the Patreon gang. We got the PayPal gang. We got the Twitter gang. Everybody's here to dunk on a very special brainlet, Kremlin Kyle Kulinski of secular talk. Secular talk. More like terrorist talk. So Nicholas says, to think, we were actually starting to consider a Bernie nomination before South Carolina. Yeah, like more conservative people have sometimes asked me, like, dude, how, like, especially like friends in my personal life and stuff have said, you know, how can you still be supporting Biden, or like, what do you see in Biden and everything? And it's like, look, I wish that there was somebody like Nikki Haley or John Bolton or Dick Cheney that was the Republican nomination, but that's not the case. Look, Joe Biden, even if you're conservative, even if you're a consistent Republican, you have to admit Joe Biden is based because he 100% blew Breadline Bernie out of the water. He won every county in Florida and many of the Rust Belt states. He destroyed Bernie's claim to progressive viability. He destroyed Kremlin Kyle. He destroyed Takey Tulsi. He destroyed all of these people. So, I mean, we can talk about how, like, I'm not really a fan of Kamala Harris, but imagine if Bernie had won. Imagine how left-wing his VP would have been. He or she would have been far to the left of Kamala Harris, you know? And you might say, well, isn't Kamala Harris the most left person in the Senate? That's what Mike Pence accused her of being. And Mike Pence was right about that. She's actually to the left of Bernie in that respect. But Bernie wouldn't have probably picked a senator. He probably would have picked one of these nobodies who's like some rabid anti-Western bootlicker over on Twitter. I mean, just look at his foreign policy advisor, Deuce. The guy's a freaking terrorist apologist. So, Webin God got a bunch of hawk and eagle emojis. Hawk Squad bird up. Oh, man. Yeah, we got a lot of people here tonight still. Takey Tulsi and Commie Kremlin Kyle are part of the cringe fringe. Yeah, no, that's true. We talk about that all the time. Wyatt says, a big up to Wyatt, huge supporter of the channel, base patron. You want to get based like Wyatt, you can go and check out my Patreon. That's patreon.com/superpowerbroadcasting. We got some new patrons the last few days. So once we get up to $100 a month, I'll be releasing daily pre-recorded videos premiering to YouTube, in addition to these daily live streams airing to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Though we'll see how long we can actually we'll see how long we can actually stay on Twitch for, because of course Twitch doesn't want us to talk about mean things. So Rodney David Fallberg says 20,000 a month to Post Edition on a daily basis. Yeah, I've made this point before. The only thing that's more embarrassing and cringeworthy than Kremlin Kyle are the simps who give Kremlin Kyle $20,000. So I'll go to his Patreon right now, because I'm just approximating here. I think it's somewhat less than $20,000 a month, but we have to remember he gets sponsorships, he gets interview deals, that kind of stuff. He probably makes well over $20,000 a month to post pro-dictator and pro-terrorist cringe. Okay, so his current Patreon is actually down a little bit. He's at almost $14,000 right now. So So this is him right here. He has about 4,300 patrons, though. So there are 4,300 people who look at him and they say, not only am I going to watch you and subscribe to you, I'm actually going to give you money because I so strongly sympathize with the Taliban, and I so strongly sympathize with fascist Russia, and I so strongly sympathize with the mullahs over in Tehran, that I'm going to actually give you money here to talk about how you're a progressive and how you care about like secular issues and stuff. And therefore we should go and, take the knee and submit to the enemies of freedom that would destroy any secularity, any separation of church and state here. Like if we had to live under the Ayatollah system, there would be no separation of church and state, like Kremlin Kyle claims to want. We would be under the Shia Islamic boots, essentially. So that's how that works. But I've got a screenshot of his Patreon right now. It's kind of amazing. Now, he's got almost 1 million subscribers. He's a little over 800,000 subscribers. And so that's him right here. That's him right there. And so he's got 3 different tiers. And one of the things that I think is interesting about this is that, he doesn't even offer like Patreons any sort of rewards or anything. Now, I don't either because I'm very busy, but I can tell you for sure, once I can do this as a full-time job, once we hit, $3,000 a month in terms of total revenue for the channel, on a consistent basis, I'll have time to actually do more stuff for the patron gang and everything else. But until then, it's about, these streams. These streams are what the patrons get and everything. Kyle has that attitude, except it's his full-time job and he makes a very good income doing it. So I don't know. I think it's just kind of weird because a lot of other channels that are out there that have similar amounts of money per month, they actually do offer like rewards and stuff to the patrons. Like Kraut, for example, he doesn't have anywhere near this on Patreon. He's at, I think like about $3,500 or $4,000 a month, which is awesome. He offers all kinds of benefits to his patrons if you become a patron over there. So, but I guess the reward for his patrons is that they get to lick the boots of Bashar the Butcher, right? That's reward enough for them. Looking at this lovely face here is reward enough for them, right? So, but we'll go back to the chat. We'll go back to the chat and see what everybody has to say. So, Sock on Brain says, Kevin, what would you think of a petition to get Twitter, Facebook, etc. to ban IP addresses from Russia, Syria, Iran, Pakistan, etc.? I know a lot of people would say that's a free speech issue. It depends on like if we're technically at war with a country, that kind of thing. I need to think on that one personally. So, Hawk Squad, yep, no, 100%. Stock on Brain says, actually, the U.S. produces more oil. Russia is 3rd place behind Saudi Arabia. Yeah, maybe my stats are a little off there for sure. But Russia used to be at about 10 million barrels, and Saudi Arabia was slightly behind. But Wyatt says, even Oliver Stone movies are crap. He does a lot of, quote, historical, unquote, films, but is such a conspiracy theorist. He messes up every piece of history he tries to portray. Yeah, he's a goofball, total goofball. Nicholas says, Steven Seagal is a 5th column too. I always knew he was an ass clown, but that's quite surprising. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has Russian citizenship. I think I remember seeing that on Russia Today, that he actually... No, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys. If you're unaware of that whole saga, it's embarrassing because, of course, Steven Seagal, he likes to brand himself as like a tough guy and everything, yet he takes the knee and submits to his new dictator, Vladimir Putin. It's embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. And he kisses the ring of Vladimir, KGB Vlad, putrid Putin, as one of my friends, Son of Cyrus, called him. Putrid Putin. I really like that one. So. Yeah, no, I think that this one here is a pretty good shot that we could take a look at. I think he looks absolutely absurd here when he's defending and simping for Daddy Vladdy. I'm just going to upload this to the stream currently. So bear with me. It'll take a moment here. Yeah, so this is just a headline I found that which I thought was kind of fitting. He says, this from Daily Express. Steven Seagal blasts enemies of friend Vladimir Putin and causes fury over NFL. I guess that's comments or whatever. That's him over there in Moscow at the Kremlin, and that's his that's the new object of his simpery, right? How embarrassing. How embarrassing. Like, okay, you don't get to call yourself like a tough guy or anything like that if you're going to go and become you're going to become a subject of a brutal KGB thug. How about that? So Nicholas asks, are those Oliver Stone films as cringe as Vice, though? They're not, but like W is freaking gross. I mean, Oliver Stone's films are really bad, but Adam McKay is just so much more cringy. I mean, we're talking about a league of ridiculous clownery that just, I mean, people make fun of like Michael Bay because of like the special effects and everything. No, it's nowhere near close. Like the bootlickery levels in Oliver Stone films are just unbelievably off the charts. WebM God says, notice how Kremlin Kyle has a high-pitched, beta, squeaky, and cringy voice. Well, bass hot Kevin has a deep and controlled voice, like a real man. Oh man, well, that's at that point where I do like the recognized meme, except I replace the capital O with the sunglasses emoji. I can't do that here right now, because at least the keyboard that's on here doesn't have an emoji set available to it. But yeah, recognized. Yeah, we got a lot of comments in the chat. So Natalie says, I think I'll take a nap now. Hopefully I'll get a couple of hours. I need to be up more during the day for an upcoming appointment. Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you coming here. It's always good to see you. Always good to talk with you, Natalie. So thanks for dropping by. And we'll see you in the next stream, hopefully. So Arthur says, good night, Natalie. Steve Hawk says, I already voted Trump Pence because Kamala ruined Biden's VP ticket. Yeah, no, I've said this before. There are, even though I'm somebody that if you ask me right now, I'd have to go with Joe Biden. I mean, like I said, Trump's comments with respect to John McCain alone were completely disqualifying. I mean, we can talk about how he didn't call, U.S. troops suckers and losers, that kind of stuff. But we know what he said publicly about John McCain. He said he's a war hero. He's not a war hero because he was captured. That alone is disqualifying. That alone is disqualifying. Never mind the fact that he said that he trusts the KGB over the CIA at the Helsinki summit. There's just no way. Like, at least Joe Biden is going to listen to the generals, and at least he's going to trust American intelligence over Russian intelligence. But Kamala Harris is way more cringe. Like, if you ask me to pick between Michael Pence and Kamala Harris, I go with Michael Pence. It's like, can we just get Joe Biden, Mike Pence 2020 and like send Kamala Harris over to be Trump's vice presidential pick? Can we just do that? Yeah, no, imagine unironically listening to Kremlin Kyle's weak voice too. So he's just not somebody who, as far as I see, is particularly charismatic. And of course, the proof positive there is what we're going to take a look at. I know I play this from time to time. It's just such a good meme. This is a taste of the peak charisma of our friend, the Russian cow.
I'm gonna pay for it. 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 I'm gonna pay for it.
Yeah, that will never not be hilarious and also cringe-inducing. Imagine, like that's what you're known for, being online. That's his celebrity right there. Is how you gonna pay for it? What a goofball. Webm God says, not only did Biden destroy Bernie in the primary, he made him a Biden cheerleader. That's a boss move. Biden straight up domesticated him. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And it triggered to no end the people like Kremlin Kyle who are saying, oh, well, this proves that we're done with democracy and we need a socialist revolution, bro. He even made, think about this, Biden even got the radical communist neckbeard brainlet man bun Vosh to shill for him. Yeah, that's a boss move. No, Joe Biden, you got, like, even if you're going to vote for Trump, you have to respect Joe Biden himself, right? I wish he was like he was in the 90s. I wish he was more hawkish and tougher on crime like he used to be. But Joe Biden's awesome. So, the War Kettle says, Kevin, I would love to join because I sent him and Wyatt invites earlier, but those guys are probably busy. He says, Kevin, I would love to join. However, I have family over from England today and can't join. Oh, yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. So have a good time with your family and everything. And we'll hopefully have you on stream sometime in the next week, maybe. So yeah, Wyatt says, Jay can't come on because his parents are too busy throwing scones at him. Oh, man. We got Sock on Brain says, Tulsi will work for the gray zone. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe she'll found her own pro-Russian network and call it something like the Tanky Network. And it's supposed to be funny and ironic because, see, she's calling herself a tanky because, like, we call her a tanky. But then she goes and does, like, actual tanky arguments. So Wyatt says, hot take, scones suck. They are dry nonsense. Oh, man, shots fired. Shots fired. The War Kettle says, F you, Wyatt. Take that back. Uh-oh. We got Trem in the chat tonight. Arthur says, Kremlin Kyle Kulinski doesn't even talk to his fans or reply to them at all. They are mega simps. Oh, I've talked about that before too. Here's the contrast between somebody like my friend Reese of Nightmare Fuel, or formerly Nightmare Fuel, currently Spooky Nookies. When I had 17 subscribers, he was doing a live stream, at some point, and I went into his chat and I said, oh, hey, Reese, I've been listening to all your videos and stuff, and your channel's been a huge inspiration of mine. I'm trying to change people's view with respect to intervention and foreign policy and stuff. And he's like, oh man. And he actually had me on his show, like within a few days or whatever. And he's like, yo, you said like your channel's inspired by mine. I basically had to have you on. So that's how Reese treats his fans. Here's how Kyle treats his fans. Ignores them. Just completely ignores them. And you could say, well, Kyle's about 80 times bigger than Reese, so, but that's not exactly a good defense. That's not really a good excuse, because even people like Lachlan and Muselk and those guys who have like 10 million subscribers on YouTube, when I watch their gaming channels and stuff, from time to time, they interact with fans. Kyle doesn't interact with his fans at all. And he definitely doesn't interact with us. He definitely doesn't interact with his opponents. The furthest that he'll go is debate somebody like Charlie Kirk at Politicon, and he'll only do it because him and Charlie agree on foreign policy. He would never debate an actual neocon. He'll just call people neocons and stuff. He would never actually sit down with a real hawk because he knows he would get his ass kicked because all he has is straw man, low IQ, brainlet talking points. And he has his little safe space bubble of feckless simps that don't mind that he doesn't acknowledge them. And let's keep it real. They've got to be the types who actually enjoy it. They just like being ignored by the guy that they're so big for. It's embarrassing. But this is the Kremlin Kyle family that we're talking about. So Wyatt says tea also sucks compared to drip coffee. Well, I agree on that one. That one might trigger Jay, though. So Stockholm Rain says he gets paid those sweet Qatari reals and he gets ad revenue, yet he still has a Patreon. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he'll talk about it all the time. Like, we need the patrons because, we got to fight like the big corporate voices at YouTube that are like pro-war and stuff. And you're like, dude, no, let's keep it real. The guy probably makes well over $20,000 a month to shill for Iran and fascist Russia. And what he could say to us is like, hey, look, that's more money than you guys have or whatever and all this stuff. And I guess, he would be right with respect to this channel. But here's the thing. I'm saying straight up, look, we get it, Kyle. We understand the incentive for you to keep being a total clown. Like, I understand. It would probably be bad financial advice to say maybe you should become more of a hawk. That probably wouldn't work out for him. We get why he does what he does. That's what I'm saying here. You want to know what's far more embarrassing than the guy we just spent the last 45 minutes dunking on? You want to know what's far more embarrassing than him? All of his simps. Imagine, unironically, being a simp for Kremlin Kyle. That's even worse because now you're paying him. At least he's getting paid. At least he's getting paid. So Jay wants to fight Wyatt in real life. Nicholas says tea is nothing without honey. And Saigon Brain says, yeah, and to top it all off, he has no rewards. Yeah, like if you're a patron of his channel, you get no rewards or anything. Now, right now, it's similar here, except that's not even really true. That's not even really true because I've said it before that if I've got a busy chat or whatever, and especially if we've got guests on and I don't have time to get to everybody, the comments that are going to get highlighted are going to be patron comments, right? It's going to be like the big PayPal supporters. Those guys are going to get the highlight there, right? They're going to get first access in terms of asking us questions, in terms of making comments and getting them actually highlighted. So even for this channel, even though it's not my full-time job or anything, we still go and have rewards in that sense for the patrons right now. And like I said, we'll have more down the road as the channel gets bigger and I can devote more time to it. Kremlin Kyle is just, he doesn't care. He knows that they will simp for him no matter what he does. He has no respect for his own supporters and fans. He probably thinks they're suckers. So, and in that regard, Kremlin Kyle and I would actually agree on something. City of Hawks says that Nicholas Bill Burr is a bit of a lefty if you bother to do your research. Okay, just politics and stuff, domestic politics. Rodney notes Steven Seagal is an alleged wife beater. Well, maybe that's why he got Russian citizenship, because it's legal to beat your wife over there now. So as long as she doesn't die, then they might press charges. But as long as she doesn't die, then it's legal. Arthur says Steven Seagal is creepy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and of course, that's Jay right here. He says Steven Seagal is a sellout of the West. Like, he likes to think of himself as a tough guy. He betrayed our side. So, yeah, he's like, F him. 100%. Absolutely. Wyatt's here. He says Seagal is a wannabe Russian. He also simped for the Belarusians. Yeah, and by Belarusians or Belarusians, we're talking about Lukashenko and his commie regime. We're not talking about the people of Belarus who have been taking to the streets for months now, demanding that they actually get democracy and capitalism and stuff. So, yeah, no, we got a lot of comments here. Sockon Brain says Kremlin Cow has the audacity to criticize Japan for, quote, Islamophobia, unquote, while simultaneously giving China a free pass on the Xinjiang crisis. Yeah, that's because Japan is pro-West and pro-democracy and pro-freedom and pro-capitalism and pro-America. And communist China is anti-U.S. hegemony and U.S. neocon imperialism. So communist China is the good guys. Like, look, every single regime that hates America, Kremlin Cow loves. And every regime, or I should say every system that likes America, Kremlin Cow hates. Kremlin Cow will often make the point, oh, well, they don't want to bomb Saudi, so they're hypocrites. Okay, let's say, now I've said it before, it's stupid. That whole argument, what about Saudi, though? I did a half-an-hour video debunking it on why Saudi Arabia is better than Iran, why it's not even close, why Saudi Arabia is a loyal ally, and how they're improving over time. Why Saudi Arabia is on the right path, even if it takes them decades to get there, to a system that would be more livable. But Iran is the largest state sponsor of terror. They're working with the Russians. They're a total dictatorship, and they're trying to take over the region. When was the last time Saudi Arabia was going in and, basically like doing terrorism in Iraq and all this kind of stuff? No, that's Iran that does that. But in the case of that, let's say that you said, okay, Kyle, I agree with you. Let's bomb Saudi Arabia instead. I agree with you. Let's not bomb Iran. Let's bomb Saudi Arabia. You know what he would say? He'd call you a warmonger, imperialist, neocon ghoul. So they have no interest in actually having a good faith discussion with you. It's all just hacky talking points to try to undermine our interests. Why? Because he's on their side. Kremlin Kyle Kulinski is with the terrorists. So I have another tweet here from earlier. And of course, my friend Mike, Progressive Apostate, he actually responded to Kremlin Kyle here, and we'll take a look at this. So this was 11 hours ago. Kremlin Kyle says, don't get it twisted. Trump is obviously pro-war. Wait, how? What wars has he done? I wish he was pro-war. But Democrats who cite the Taliban saying this as some sort of burn against Trump care more about burning Trump than actually ending the war. That's the point. By the way, 1,300 people like that. That's embarrassing. Imagine liking that. Like, okay, terrorists. So then Progressive Apostate comes in and says, oh yeah, letting the Taliban have free reign in Afghanistan will really improve the world, Kyle. Astounds me how you can call your show secular talk, but shill out for every authoritarian theocracy not named Saudi Arabia. There you go. And of course, Saudi Arabia is the best one that you could shill for because they're at least moving in the right direction. So, and they're at least helping us against Iran and Russia. So, again, he chooses all the wrong sides. Like, yeah, let's not get it twisted. Kremlin Kyle is with the enemy. He's not with us. You know, it's like George W. Bush, the lion, once said, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. With the terrorists. There's no in between. This is not pacifism. This isn't, oh, I like peace, bro. This is him there saying, no, I like the Taliban. That's what he said. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. This ass clown here, Kyle Kulinski, Kremlin Kyle. From now on, whenever you hear him, whenever you talk about him, whenever you tweet about him, if you ever make videos about him, I want you to refer to him as Kremlin Kyle. I want that to be the moniker. I want that to stick. I want that to be what he goes down in his obituary. They're like, he was known as Kremlin Kyle. I want that to be what sticks with him for life because he clearly has shilled for the Russians for his career. Let's at least make his career known officially as Kremlin Kyle. Kremlin Kyle talk, you know? Cow talk. Rodney says, poison Putin. Yeah, that's true. He uses weapons of mass destruction grade poison against his enemies and civilians that happen to be nearby, even in the United Kingdom. Putrid Putin, I like that one. He says, how can anyone like that murderer is beyond me. He has assassinated at least one journalist, assassinated 2 former Kremlin agents, and tried to assassinate 1 political opponent. Oh, that we know about. Many, many journalists in Russia have been murdered. They have a higher, you have a higher likelihood of being killed as a journalist in fascist Russia than you do in Iraq during the Iraq War. Think about that. That's how dangerous it is to report the truth in Russia. Raibu is here. Welcome. And yeah, he's got the free Belarus flag in his icon. Let's make that the flag of Belarus. Let's get rid of the commie crap. So Nicholas says, oh yeah, they're just talking about movies and stuff. Nicholas says, imagine Kulinski, Kremlin Kyle Kulinski, Triple K, being asked how he's going to pay for stuff by Congress, because that's the first thing he'll ask, and that's how he'll respond. Oh yeah, how are you going to pay for it? Ray Boo says Trump didn't serve, but insults McCain law. Yeah, see, that's why I could never support Trump. Like just his comments on McCain are completely disqualifying. That's my stance on that. So yeah, welcome to Secular Talk, where we defend theocratic dictatorships like Iran. Nicholas says, Trump calls fallen soldiers suckers and asked John Kelly why they never asked what was in it for them. They were standing by John Kelly's son's grave. Yeah, see, this is hearsay, And I believe John Bolton himself did say that there was no proof that Trump said that. I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to simply say, look at what Trump said about McCain in public on the record. That alone is abhorrent. It's unbelievably abhorrent. Kevin Rofogaran says, hi, found you on Twitter. Hello, how's it going? Sock on Brain says, does Kyle even stream? No, he just does these pre-recorded videos where he posts cringe with this green goblin-like background going on and looks very sickly. City of Hawk says that's superpower broadcasting. Reese is 100% wrong about abolishing the Electoral College. We had a debate on here some months ago. We had a few guests on, and the only person that was really defending the Electoral College, as I recall, was Henry of American Madhouse. For me, I'm somewhere in between on it. I'm not like Reese on that. I can see the merits of the Electoral College. Sucking Brain says Kyle literally is big corporate law. Yeah, it just happens to be Qatari corporate, right? So Kevin says secular talk is just like Young Turks. It used to be good in the past. Now it's just a Bernie cult. Well, I'm not sure that Young Turks ever used to be good. I used to watch them unironically, but I also used to be a democratic socialist when I was in high school. So I thought they were good, but I was also cringy back then. So hard to really gauge if they were actually good. So Sock'em Rain says you could add Discord rewards to high-paying patrons. I don't even have a Discord yet. I'm too busy to set that up. Arthur says Vosh is a huge channel and still manages to talk to everyone in his chat. Yeah, and that's true. And that's true. And of course, you could say, well, Kyle's 4 times bigger or 3.5 times bigger than Vosh. It's like, yeah, but he has zero interaction with his fans. He's just out of touch completely. I don't like this guy. I don't like Kremlin Kyle at all, because you know that when we have 800,000 subscribers within the next decade, hopefully, but maybe within the next 2 decades, you know I'm still going to be talking with the friends and fans in the chat and dunking on the haters and the traitors in the chat. So Suck on Brain says the nation of Japan is America's best aircraft carrier. Well, so is the United Kingdom, though. So Nicholas says, oh man, anti-America apologists do freaking ballet around all of China's human rights violations. Oh yeah, or they'll just straight up be like, okay, yeah, you're right about China, but like America, there are people in prison in America too, bro. The false equivalency, except it's not really an equivalency because they're obviously implying that communist China is better than America. No, they're just on their side. They're just with the enemy. That's the point that I make all the time. They don't have our interests at heart. They're not trying to improve the West. They're simply simps for the enemy. Jib Hogan is here. He says, hey, Kevin, I don't think we should have ground troops in Afghanistan. Instead, I support pro-democracy insurgents in Afghanistan. Okay, I would disagree with you there, Jib, but Kyle would also disagree with you. He would say, no, we shouldn't be there. It's the Taliban. That's their land, bro. It's their right to enslave 30 million Afghan people against their will and do terrorism against us again. That's what Kyle would say. And when a big terrorist attack does come out of the Taliban after they get control of Afghanistan again and then now they have time to do terrorism against other countries, what's he going to say? He's going to blame it on the neocons, because he blames everything on the neocons. What neocons, Kyle? He still acts like Dick Cheney is the vice president. I wish Dick Cheney was the vice president. But no, Kyle is a child. Let's just remember that. Kremlin Kyle is a Kremlin child. He's embarrassing. And yeah, that's Dick Cheney right there, the former vice president, talking to Kremlin Kyle. Still living rent-free in your head, kiddo. So, because in Kyle's head, Bush and Cheney are still in the White House. It's just everywhere he turns, everywhere he looks, when he's sleeping, all of his nightmares. It's just neocons around every corner. Neocons. It's the neocon ghouls, bro. The neocon ghouls, you know? So, the neocon ghouls. Oh, man. Yeah, no, he's terrified. He's spooked, bro. He's spooked. So, Yeah, we've had a lot of comments in the chat tonight. I appreciate it. We had a lively chat. We're coming up on the hour mark here, so we're going to close off the stream. But definitely thanks for being here tonight, everybody. If you enjoy this content, feel free to check out my PayPal, link is in the description below. And if you'd like to send me a tip, if you'd like to support this channel on a monthly basis, an ongoing basis, you can check out my Patreon. That's patreon.com/superpowerbroadcasting. As I said, once we hit $100 a month, so we got 29 more dollars to go. Once we get there, or not 29, 27 more dollars to go. Once we get there, we will be rolling out daily pre-recorded videos in addition to these daily live streams. So essentially double the content each day. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to Superpower Broadcasting, share this with your friends. Like if you know people who they might not like Kyle or they might not really watch him too much, but they think he's okay or whatever, show them this. Show them, just highlight to them how much of a Kremlin Kyle is and how much of a Russian cow he is. So additionally, you can follow me over on Twitch and be sure to follow me on Twitter at Kevin Castley. That's all I got for you tonight, but I'll be back tomorrow to talk about the North Korea situation and the gains that they've been making in their ICBM program. So thank you for being here. See you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.